The Habs and Oilers might be even closer to a trade as there were 3 Edmonton scouts at the Habs Blue Jackets game tonight. We'll be talking about that, plus the game itself where Samuel Montembeault put on a nice show for the crowd of 3 in the audience for him. Plus, Caufield gets on the board. Slafkovsky looks amazing. There's a lot of positives to take out of tonight, all in this episode of Habs Digest. And we're just going to get straight into it. And boy, Jesse, did the Montreal Canadiens ever need this? That West Coast road trip started off hot, but after that, borderline embarrassing loss to the LA Kings last weekend, that 4-0 shellacking. The Habs came in and they took care of business in Columbus, though it was close down to the wire. The Habs had to work back from multiple deficits. They ended up scoring with just a few minutes left, and it was Armia tipping in a Mike Matheson point shot. Gustav Lindstrom added the empty netter. But, there's a bunch of stories tonight, and I wanted to start with Cole Caufield, just because he made history again, right? He's now only the 5th Hab in the past 100 years to get 60 goals prior to their 150th game. And look at those other names: Howie Morenz, Maurice Richard, Jean Beliveau, and Joe Benoit. Just history again for Caufield. Awesome to see him get back on track. Wasn't a patented Caufield snipe, but it just feels like after that, it feels like the Habs really wanted to make a statement tonight, and they came out and did it.
And really showing that he's an elite company. And I love this fact of him getting his 60th goal in such a short period of time, because it shows that we haven't had a player like this in such a long time. We are turning the page on this now. We do have these type of players, which is amazing to see, and this was a really big game for him tonight because we needed this win, as we were mentioning earlier. It's just so important because this was the difference between us kind of going 2 games under 500 or kind of, getting back to that even record. Again, another big win because we're able to win in regulation, which has been, a struggle for us to do. We wanted to really finish off a game, get that empty net goal to kind of seal it off. So really love sealing that. And again, Josh, a really big thing I liked tonight was that the team was disciplined, not taking too many penalties, not shooting ourselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. For me, those are huge wins for this team.
Yeah, for sure. Like the discipline tonight, while again, the turnovers were not that great. There were some bad ones in the defensive zone, especially early. They definitely cleaned it up later. And like you said, the stick discipline was fantastic. There was no trips. There was nothing. There was one power play for either team this entire game. And it came about halfway through the third period as Gustav Lindstrom took a puck over glass penalty. There was offsetting minors. Sean Kuraly and Jonathan Kovacevic got into it a bit after Kuraly took a little bit of a late chop at Montembeault. So they just got offsetting minors, one for slashing, one for roughing. So there were 3 total penalties this game, 6 penalty minutes the whole time. Habs played with discipline, and they played really strong, especially after that first period. They really showed that they wanted to make a statement. There was plenty of really strong shifts in Columbus' zone, and against a team like Columbus, you really needed to come in and do that. If you wanted to prove to yourself, if you're the Montreal Canadiens, that like we're better than what we showed last Saturday. Like I know the LA Kings are good, but we're better than that. And we're better than having to go to overtime against the Sharks. We want to beat the Blue Jackets. And again, while it was close, took a while, they got there in the end. But this game wouldn't have been what it was if it wasn't for Sam Montembeault. And right before the Habs scored a goal, Montembeault, with that save on Boone Jenner on the break, he was kind of everywhere tonight. Yeah, he let in 2 goals. One was a breakaway from Patrick Laine that maybe Monty should have had. But still, like, at the same time, he was really, really phenomenal. Jesse, again, 29 save percentage, 26 saves on 28 shots. And every single game he's in, he just reminds us, like, this guy is, like, he's the guy. He's the number 1 guy in Montreal. I feel his consistency has gone up so much this year, and I mean, you got to think everyone in the Habs org is impressed with him.
You have to feel that way just from the eye test. He's starting to look like that, almost like that 1A. He's almost starting to get there, and you have to think if he was maybe getting a little bit of better defensive support, his number might be up there with many a starting goalie in the NHL. The reason I'm saying this, and again, it's like, I've had my doubts when it comes to Samuel Montembeault. Like, I love him as a 1B, but he's even proving me wrong just from like his rebound control. And just, of course, it doesn't hurt when he just does these phenomenal saves from time to time, right? So again, just so much poise on that back end. You have to feel like it's definitely going to help him a lot, with his contract talks, kind of coming up. But, somebody that I really want to talk about is your fellow Newfoundlander, Officer Newhook, from Newfoundland. Right. Like with the stash, with the goal, tonight, like I love seeing him just get involved in front of the net, scoring that goal, but also getting the scrum, seeing Slav kind of involved in some scrums. I never really saw that before from him, where he's there and kind of rattling a few cages there and shaking his fists and what have you. So, I mean, just great to see that. It seemed like the team was really, they wanted to come tonight. You could tell even Caufield, after a couple turnovers in that first period, for that second period, you could tell he was just raring to go. He wanted to put his mark on this game, and he did.
Yeah, it was it was so fun, and you're very right. I think that was like a semi turning point, right? There was a big scrum, and like you said, Slav throwing his arms, getting like grabbed, and he's shaking it off. He's like, "Nah, I'm a big boy. I can fight for myself." And Newhook like getting into it, like just not afraid. He's like an extra little chop late, getting shoved around. He doesn't care. He's laughing. He rung the post on the chance early, and then just after he potted it top shelf point blank on Merzlikins, like. Newhook had such a phenomenal game, Jesse. He's turning into one of the Habs' top offensive producers, at least as of late. This guy's scoring. Like he's had what, 6, 7 goals this season, I think now? It's 7 now, I think, with tonight's goal. And I think that ties him with Caufield for now the team lead. So he's really been playing phenomenally well. Slafkovsky played better. I don't think it's crazy to say Slav was maybe even better than Fantilli tonight. But look, there's a lot of stuff we can say about this game. It was just a wonderful game, a bounce back win, something the Habs really desperately needed. But we're gonna transition a little bit into this trade talk. And look, I know you guys are maybe sick of the trade talk, but this is like real news. Eric Engels before the game, there are 3 scouts from Edmonton at tonight's Montreal Columbus game, and maybe they were on the Yegor Chinnikov train like we were. Chinny looked really, really good tonight. If you guys watched the video yesterday, if you didn't, go watch it, because after tonight, hey, I'm just saying, like, maybe Yegor Chinnikov saw that video and he's like, I'd like to be a Montreal Canadian and put on one of his best performances of the season. But at the same time, I saw a lot of people speculating Sam Montembeault. Why go to a Habs Blue Jackets game in Columbus on a Wednesday if you're not looking at someone on the Habs? So Monty obviously makes a lot of sense for Edmonton. But I saw some people speculating Josh Anderson as well, Jesse. As crazy as that sounds, I don't know how they could make the cap work. But some people were saying like he brings a bit of a more physical edge, and maybe with better line mates, like if he gets a chance to play even on the power player sometime with like a Nugent Hopkins or maybe a McDavid in some crazy situation, it could work. What do you think? I mean, I think it's definitely Monty, but what were your thoughts when you saw that there was 3 different scouts from the same team watching this game?
Well, yeah, Ken Hughes is so smart that I wouldn't even rule out for him to do some sort of package sort of thing where, okay, maybe, we're getting something, a nice return for Monty, but also maybe, kind of getting rid of a contract that maybe isn't suiting us the best right now. I could see a world in that happening, but Josh, to be honest, like, it's going to take a pretty penny for me to want to move Montembeault, right? Like, after having a game like this tonight, after playing the way that he has, like, this is a young team. Like, we still want to compete, right? And we want to give ourselves every chance to really be competitive going on the season. You have to feel like Samuel Montembeault gives us that best opportunity in net. I don't know, like, even if it's a first rounder, I don't know, call me crazy, but like, I'm reluctant. Some people would say we'd be lucky to get a first rounder for Samuel Montembeault plus prospect, whatever, but it's like, even that first rounder, I'm not moving him right now for that.
I'm It's so interesting because in general, I'm like the value of Montembeault plus whatever for a first rounder, I think makes sense in the when you're talking about NHL trades, especially for what goalies typically go for. Um, However, at the same time, it's like without a clear backup plan in place, you have Jake Allen and Cayden Primeau, they could ride out the season. But I think a Monty extension. Now, I know we've heard some rumors saying he wants a bit more money than we expected. Some rumors saying he wants north of 3.5 million. Not sure if they're confirmed or not, but there's talks, and at that price, it's like if the Habs are not willing, we don't know the inner goings on, right? Like if maybe there's a disagreement and the Habs aren't willing to pay him that, but another team might be willing to pay him that. Do you just move on from him for a pick now, knowing that you're not going to have him long term? I think there's a lot of inner workings that have to go on here, but I'm kind of on board with you. Like at the same time, he's a tough sell for me. But you never know what a team like the Oilers is going to offer. Like a team that just needs their goalies. Like Campbell is playing a little better in the AHL now, but they're running like Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner. A guy like Monty comes in and immediately makes that team so much better. So it's like it's tough for me. Like what if Xavier Bourgault was coming the other way? I mean, and a first. Do you think you'd maybe budge then, or are you just kind of saying, nah, listen, you know what? At this point, just like take Allen, but like you're just not touching Monty. Would you consider him borderline untouchable if you're Montreal at this point?
I want Samuel Montembeault to be the 1B for this team. I just feel
I
like,
get
and
that.
Kent Hughes, he probably feels that same way, right? He's all about getting that kind of timeline, and obviously I think Samuel Montembeault gives you a little bit, he's shown enough now where you feel comfortable. He provides some stability while still kind of, fitting in the timeline of this young team. So I feel like it's really a good match, So I think if you could get a good 1A with Samuel Montembeault as your 1B, even as a competitive team, as we start to get into our playoff window, I would be very happy with that tandem.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, it all depends how much the 1A is getting paid. I mean, I guess if you're getting a 1A and they're like 8 or 9 million, and then you're still paying 3.5 for Monty as a backup, maybe it's harder to swallow. But at the same time, like I don't know, like we ran with Price and Allen, which was like what 12, 13 million when they were running together, which is and look where that brought us for us to the Stanley Cup final. So, and the cap's going to be going up too. So these numbers are going to mean less and less every single year. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. Let us know down below. What do you guys think? Would you keep Monty kind of no matter what? Would you take a first for Monty? Or do you think, hey, let's move on from him. Just focus on the development of Primeau, focus on Jacob Fowler, maybe some other guys down below, Volokin over in Russia. I don't know. We'd love to hear from you down below because these talks don't seem to be like they're ending soon. Let's try that again. I don't think these talks are going to be ending anytime soon. So yeah, we'll keep bringing all the news to you. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You guys have been showing crazy support for the subscriptions lately. We're almost at 9,000, and we really, really appreciate every single one of you that takes oh my gosh, this is what happens. It's 10:30 at night. That takes the time to subscribe to us. Yeah, Jesse, sometimes it just happens. Like you get to this point in the video, and it's late at night. I mean, you're tired at the end of a game, but we're happy.
You're a beauty.
Yeah,
You
thank you.
got this.
Appreciate you too, man. I'm Josh Goss, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.